My kids said they won't come to my wedding unless I invite their grandmother. Here's the full story. I need to give you the background, because without it, none of this makes sense. 7 years ago, my ex-wife and I divorced over one central issue. She wanted to move her elderly mother into our home. I was the stay-at-home parent at the time, and I knew with complete clarity what that arrangement would actually mean. Not that we'd be sharing our home with her mother, that I would become her mother's full-time caregiver on top of everything else I was already doing. I didn't want that. I said so. I suggested a care facility where she could be looked after properly by people trained to do it. My ex-wife told me her mother was moving in regardless because she was the one paying the bills. That was the end of the marriage. I went back to work, we divorced, and I got every weekend with our 3 kids. I tried for more custody, but rebuilding financially after years out of the workforce is not a fast process, and the courts reflect that in ways that are not fair but are real. Here's the part that has bothered me for 7 years. The care for grandma did not fall on my ex-wife. It fell on my kids. My oldest 2 were teenagers when this started, and they became de facto caregivers while their mother worked long hours to support the household. They love their grandmother. But they are now 21, 20, and 18, and they are burnt out in the way people get burnt out, when they've been responsible for someone else's care since they were barely old enough to drive. I have told them repeatedly that they can come live with me, that they don't have to stay in that situation. They feel they can't leave because nobody else would look after grandma. That is not a situation a parent should put their children in. I have said this to my ex-wife more times than I can count over the years. It has not changed anything. Now I'm getting remarried. My kids knew the date. I sent the formal invites and thought we were in a good place. My oldest called and told me grandma needed to be invited to the wedding. I want to be clear about my history with this woman. She was not kind to me during my marriage, not difficult, not occasionally sharp, actively unkind for years. I have no relationship with her and no warmth toward her, and my wedding is not the place I want to navigate that. I told my oldest that grandma wasn't invited and her mother could look after her for one night. My oldest told me her mother would be working. My wedding is on a Saturday, a year from now. My ex-wife cannot arrange one night of coverage for her own mother so that our children can attend their father's wedding. I said their mom would need to figure it out. Grandma was not invited. My oldest told me I needed to step up the way I failed 2 years ago, meaning the divorce. My other 2 texted saying they wouldn't come if grandma couldn't come. I've been sitting with this for a few days. There is real pain underneath what my kids are expressing. They're not just advocating for their grandmother to attend a party. They're carrying years of resentment about a situation they were put in without being asked, a divorce they experienced as abandonment, a caregiving role they never chose. When my oldest says I need to step up, she's not really talking about the wedding invitation. She's talking about everything. I hear that. I do. But I also know that the thing I tried to prevent 7 years ago was exactly this. Children becoming caregivers because the adults around them didn't make better arrangements. I saw it coming and I said so, and I was told it wasn't my decision to make. Now the consequence of that decision is sitting on my kids, and somehow also landing on my wedding. I've decided to look into hiring a professional caregiver for that night. Just one night, 1 year from now. I'll find the money. It might not be expensive for a single evening, and if it means my kids can be at my wedding without the weight of this situation, following them there, then it's worth whatever it costs. I'm not inviting grandma, but I'm not willing to lose my kids over this either. They deserve to be at their father's wedding without having to choose between that and the obligation they never should have been given in the first place. That obligation was never theirs to carry. It still isn't. I'm just finally in a position to do something small about it.